Keep it simple, stupid. It's this idea that we always try and overcomplicate things, and I've been thinking that a lot when it comes to video games lately, especially thanks to Persona 3. I remember playing the portable version on my PS Vita back in the day, but honestly couldn't really remember much about it because most of those memories have been blocked out by the more recent games, Persona 4 and Persona 5, as well as the Persona-like spin-offs like Metaphor. But I've been playing Persona 3 Reload lately, and I have to say, it's just so simple, and I love it. And I think it might have been a mistake to complicate some of the later games, and just other games in general. Let's talk about it. You know what else is so simple? Liking the video and subscribing to the channel. Now don't get me wrong, I love Persona 5, but when you play the older Persona games, you see just how much stylistic bloat there is in that game. All of the different palaces have such a overhead to them, with the curated floor plans, all the different unique mechanics for exploration that they introduce. It feels like you can't go 20 seconds without the screen stopping and having like Morgana yell at you about some new thing you have to be aware of. Persona 3 doesn't care about that. Here's a dungeon, go in, hit the shadows, fight the shadows, who cares? Similarly with its exploration during the social time, Persona 5 had an overwhelming number of social links and places to go, things to do, that it felt like there was never enough time to do everything. And while Persona 3 still has that, by having such a smaller, explorable world, it does feel like you can go everywhere and do everything, and the pace at which they introduce the social links, especially keeping the social links to the after-school hour as opposed to the evening hour in the early game, just makes it feel like you can actually do some of the things like get a job or study or go eat food. There's something to be said for having less choices. There's no overwhelming paralysis there. Similarly, the story of Persona 3 is a lot more straightforward, especially in the early game. Persona 5 is a lot more episodic. Each palace has a unique evil character that has to be introduced, set up, do some super evil thing, and then have their comeuppance. Whereas in Persona 3, you just fight a monster every month. There's no setup outside of maybe an overheard conversation during the school day about people getting the apathy syndrome, and there's really not much of a follow-up afterwards. The game introduces everything to you and yet at the same time really eases you into it and lets you fully explore and enjoy it in the early game so that when there is more complication in the later game, you actually feel it. And while this is great for Persona 3, I think this is something that could be taken into account for a lot of games. Games these days just feel too complicated. We can't just have a single genre games anymore. Every game has to be a mix of this game and that game, or this game with that game and that game. We can't just do one thing anymore, we have to do 10. Which is so ironic because when I go on YouTube or whatever, it seems like all they want to do is show me shorts. A short video with a short amount of time, one focus, one thing. Now, of course, they show you 500 of those, so maybe that's the same effect. This overload of things to do, mechanics in a game. But it's honestly been causing me to be pretty burned out. I talked about it in my clicker video too, this idea that I'm just getting kind of tired of games, getting tired of trying to do 500 things. I think a lot of us are yearning for a simpler time. I see a lot of comments talking about the 360 era of gaming and how games were simpler and better back then, maybe more focused. And I'm not sure why that is. Why not make a game that's really good at doing one thing as opposed to really okay at doing 50 things? When the variety in your game starts getting in the way of the gameplay, you're actually not bringing benefit to the player, I don't think. The great thing that I've noticed about Persona 3 especially is that it's long chunks of time in each section. Because they allow you to explore the entirety of Tartarus at once every month, you just go in one night. It's not like Persona 5 where you have checkpoints in your infiltration where you have to go back out or you can't do this tonight, you can't do that. Taking you out of that kind of flow state of gaming actually makes it hard to keep playing the game, and I've been finding Persona 3 a lot easier to sit down and play for hours at a time, because you will just do a couple weeks of the social life or blast through a chunk of the dungeon. It seems like in recent gaming's urge to be more flashy or do more things that they've forgotten the key point of games, which is keep the player engaged with what they're doing. By constantly switching up what's going on, by constantly adding new mechanics that are completely unrelated, easing the transition between activities and mechanics within a game is key to increasing the enjoyment and engagement of that game. And I felt they did this great with Metaphor. Because exploring was a natural part of the game and a natural part of the story, it didn't feel jarring to spend maybe only 2 or 3 days focusing on my social links and then spending a day or two going to a dungeon and exploring it and then going back to the social links. They were able to smooth out a lot of the roughness that I think Persona 5 had in trying to keep you jumping around between activities. I think there's a lot of pressure, too, when we talk about sequels to games. You can't just do the same thing again. You have to do it bigger and better and more. And I think that also is actually something that hurt Persona 5. I know it gets a lot of praise for its hyper-stylized visuals, music, and themes, but the fact that that has now permeated into every game. Expedition 33 copied the menus. Metaphor obviously copied the menus. Persona 3 Reload even has a lot of the similar menu design that it stops being cool. It stops being exciting. It was cool when Persona 5 did it, but this idea that now that they did it, everyone has to do it. I wish that we could move away from this idea that once something is done and done in a way that's cool, especially when it's something as secondary as menus, we don't then say every game now has to do that. It's been talked to death, of course, but we see this in general with gaming and gaming publishers, especially AAA. Oh, Fortnite's popular. Now, all these games are coming out that are live service games, or all these games are coming out that are chasing whatever the new trend is, except they're years late because you had to develop a whole game, and it's not as good because you're mimicking something that you didn't come up with and that you weren't passionate about when you came up with it. You're only doing it now because you think it's going to make you a lot of money. And I think for me, that's the biggest thing that I've noticed about Persona 3 versus Persona 5. Persona 3 just feels so much more natural. It's hard to describe, it's hard to explain, because I am not sitting here saying Persona 5 is not a good game. I loved it, though it's my least favorite of 3, 4, and 5. It almost feels like it's trying too hard, if that makes sense. I don't know if Persona 3, since that was the first of its kind, it was just natural and a passion project, but by the time you get to 5, there is that pressure of expectation. People are looking forward to this game now. They're looking forward to how you've updated and maybe advanced the formula. So it's really a lose-lose situation. How do you hold on to passion when you've already made your passion project and now you have to make another one, and now people have expectations of it? I think it's so easy to lose that natural creative passion that you have when you're making a sequel or a 3rd or 5th or 10th game. And that's why, even though I didn't personally like it, I applaud something like Final Fantasy XVI. It's clear that the creators for that game had a vision and a passion for what they were making. I didn't enjoy what they ended up making because I am exactly that fan who had expectations based on the previous games in a series. And that's why it's a lose-lose. You can make what you want, but you might be upsetting the people who liked what you did before and are looking forward to having more of it. So I don't know what the answer is. All I know is I'm really enjoying Persona 3 Reload. It's great going back to this game, experiencing it with the updated graphics and voice acting, and it's just nice to play a game that was made 15, 20 years ago and doesn't have a lot of the pressures that modern gaming have seemed to impose upon us. What do you think? Is Persona 5 still the best? Do you prefer it to the older Personas? Let me know in the comments down below. How do we deal with the weight of fan expectations and developer passion and publishers wanting to actually make money on their games, so we have to make a sequel, we can't make a new IP? I don't know. Let me know. If you liked the video, be sure to hit the like button. Consider subscribing to the channel, and I will see you all with the next video.